Good evening. I'm delighted to welcome you to Art is Life, a celebration of one of the first ever digital museums to open in India. This is a historic moment for MAP as it connects to audiences in the digital space even before it opens its doors to the public next year. During this week-long festival, MAP features one section of its extensive collections for you to explore and enjoy. And today, we look at popular culture. Whether we look at the figure of Mother India draped in a bright red sari or 19th century textile labels that were pasted on bales of cloth shipped to India from Britain, or the idealized version on the iconic film poster of the 1957 epic drama Mother India, popular culture chronicles the aspirations and dreams of a people through time. As a form, popular culture is constantly evolving. It reflects the need and desires of a society, but it also forms currents that influence taste and perspectives. It tells us stories of the social and economic history of a country, in this case, India, but also often represents common practices, beliefs, and views. As products of a specific time and the technologies available then, these objects are not only historic documents, but also a source of simple pleasure. Popular images that we see on billboards, posters, and in advertisements speak a universal language, and they have the power to draw people together. Who would not remember the famous Hamara Bajaj advertisements, the quintessential Indian scooter that brought together not just the family, but people of different communities across the country? Popular culture has often been dismissed as low art, reflecting consumerism and mass culture that lacks discernment. Today, however, we're better able to understand and decode the visual language of these images on posters, on billboards, advertisements, and mass-produced calendar art that convey several layers of messaging far beyond the obvious. These perceptions of classical and mass art have led to very few collectors acquiring these works in India. The Museum of Art and Photography, MAP, Bengaluru, seeks to collapse the hierarchies between high and low art by becoming one of the first museums in India to host a vast collection of these objects and make them accessible to a wide audience. MAP's rich collection of popular culture includes examples from India's printing and advertising industry from the 19th century to the arrival of the digital age in the late 20th century. Early woodcut block prints, the oleographs of Raja Ravi Varma that popularized the classical Hindu mythological characters, the mass-produced Nathwada collages, textile labels printed in the then prominent centers of textile production in Glasgow and Manchester, Kalighat paintings from Calcutta, and a range of publicity material related to the film industry such as movie posters, film memorabilia, lobby cards are all part of this wonderful collection. Through its extensive collection, MAP presents a historiographic view of popular visual culture in India and its counterpart in Europe. When the art historian and anthropologist Christopher Pinney asked, "Can we have a history of images that treats pictures as more than simply a reflection of something else, something more important happening elsewhere? Is it possible to envisage history as in part determined by struggles occurring at the level of the visual?" The Museum of Art and Photography takes this as an opportunity to invite audiences to enjoy the rich history of the popular images of our culture. Madhura Wairkar from the MAP team will now take you through some of the highlights in this segment of the museum collection. Enjoy.
The popular visual culture of the 19th and 20th centuries played a major role in shaping the social, cultural, and national identities of our country. new printing technologies, exposure to European images, the establishment of art schools in the subcontinent, evolution of photography in the mid-19th century, as well as the emergence of the proscenium stage contributed to this development. It was indeed a period of excitement wherein a new class of popular, mythological, nationalist and modernist imagery originated in the country. The Museum of Art and Photography prides itself on having one of the largest collections of popular visual culture in India. We have heard of the importance and enormity of the collection from our guest. Now let me present to you a few stories from our collection.
But before doing that, I would like to gratefully acknowledge Dr. Jyotindra Jain, as much of the research for my presentation is drawn on his published academic writings. He has been instrumental in shaping the core of the popular culture collection based on his close relationship with our founder, Mr. Abhishek Poddar.
Have you heard the story of Annapurna? Legend states that Shiva once denied the importance of food, citing it as Maya or illusion. Parvati, his consort, also the goddess of abundance and nourishment, got upset and to teach her husband a lesson, made herself as well as the sources of food invisible, leading to barren lands, famines, hunger and illness. Eventually, Shiva realized his mistake and with a begging pole in his hand approached Parvati in the form of Annapurna. This chromolithograph of Annapurna dates from the circa 1819 and was produced in the Chor Bagan Art Studio in Calcutta. Located in Bhuban Banerjee Lane, the studio was active from the 1880s and produced popular prints for the mass market. Starting with woodcut prints, the studio then went on to produce chromolithographs, of which this work serves as an excellent example. Shiva, wearing a lion skin wrap and holding a Trishula, stands in front of Annapurna in an ornately decorated pillar. The goddess is enthroned with her left foot resting on a lotus stool and flanked by female attendants holding fly whisks on either side. She ladles rise into Shiva's outstretched hands. Influenced by the Kalighat Putts and the European prints, Annapurna and Shiva appear as lifelike figures, their poses and the background resembling the photographic expression of that period. Composition like these at times influenced how the deities were imagined, which resulted in other painters and publishers mirroring the same imagery. We see a similar representation of Annapurna at a slightly later period from the Ravi Varma press in the early 20th century. However, there's a difference in style as well as the background, which now has an increased volume of velvet curtains in the background. This image appears to be after Ravi Varma, who was trained in European academic art. The Ravi Varma press was initially established in Bombay and later moved to Malavli near Lonavala. Ravi Varma was one of the most celebrated Indian painters of the 19th century and was known for his oil on canvas paintings and later for the lithographs depicting Indian mythology. It was on the behest of Diwan Sir T. Madhav Rao that he started a press in 1894, which emerged as one of the largest studios of its time with the most advanced technologies. Another object from map, a painted porcelain figure of Bhikshatana Murti or the Shiva as a mendicant with a begging bowl, again appears similar to the Shiva in the Annapurna imagery. These works are examples of the popular printed imagery in India in the 19th and 20th centuries. Calcutta and Bombay emerged as two major centers of mass production for such prints. The Calcutta Art Studio and the Chor Bagan Art Studio in Calcutta, Ravi Varma Press, the Brijbasi and Sons in Mathura, Bombay and Karachi, and the Chitrashala Press in Pune were some of the prominent names of the period. Such printing technologies and mass manufacture of images transformed the nature of the Hindu belief and worship. It homogenized religious images and expanded their accessibility. Through artists like Raja Ravi Varma, classical Hindu mythology was revived and circulated all over the country, thereby providing a nationwide similarity to the visual culture of Hinduism. Many of us imagine traveling abroad, experiencing picturesque landscapes, taking selfies and posting them on social media. What if I told you that we had a predecessor to Photoshop or social media tools in the 20th century? The 20th century saw a huge pileup of prints with the visuality coming from the new idioms of theatre, photography and academic realism in the 19th century. We see this in our prints of Annapurna. This led to the formation of a new visual language of collage in which the images appear manipulated across time, place, genre as if addressing certain social and political motif. Look closely at this collage depicting Vishnu with his consort Lakshmi. Vishnu rests on Shesha while Brahma, seated on lotus, stems out of his navel. The figures are cut out from a print and the backdrop depicts the Ringenberg Castle in Switzerland with an alpine landscape, as if resembling a theatre backdrop. Collages such as these, which combined painted backgrounds of European landscapes with cutouts of figures from popular posters, were hugely popular around the period of 1920s to the 1940s. These prints were often found framed in palatial mansions of traders and wealthy Marwadi merchants in the town of Shekhawati in northeastern Rajasthan. German prints of European landscapes as a background were used with images of characters from Bengali prints and juxtaposed against these quasi-mythic and imaginative landscapes. In this case, the backdrop resembles Vishnu's abode. Another type of collage was identified by the use of hand-painted Nathdwara images of landscape and architecture as their background. These had cut-out figures from Brijbasi prints, which featured as characters. While the subject matter of these Shekhawati prints was Krishna Leela and other mythologies, the Nathdwara prints would often feature public figures, especially of political nature. The imagery from diverse visual sources created new aesthetics and cultural definitions, not only shaping a religious visual but also forming new ideological conceptions of the nation itself. Textile mill labels, matchbox and cigarette covers, postcards, advertisements, calendar arts, educational charts, books and magazine covers, theatre and cinema stills, lobby cards and booklets all became a part of this changing visual. The bales of cotton cloth coming from Britain often carried labels with images of Indian mythological scenes, British royalty, people of India, or rural scenes. To counter these labels, the indigenous mill owners in the country also began creating textile labels, initially focusing on mythology, but later on the social and political issues of the country. As the freedom movement gained momentum, the new imagery of Swadeshi and nationalism evolved. It opposed British goods with khadi and handspun. Some mill labels depicted nationalist leaders such as Kamla Devi Chattopadhyay, as in this label, Bharat Mata, or a lady spinning the charkha. Women nationalist leaders adopted traditional handspun and handwoven saris, which is visible in Kamla Devi's sartorial choice. This era saw the emergence of the handloom fabrics as well as the revival of traditional saris like brocade, jamdani, kanjivaram, patola, paithani and others through the mill yarn but using handloom weaving. The turn of the century also saw the emergence of Bharat Mata as an icon of Hindu nationalism, which became a part of the popular imagery. Bharat Mata holding onto a saffron flag with a charkha, in this case, or an Indian flag, appeared on various media from a textile label to a magazine cover. Did you know that textile mill labels with British imperial figures acted as an approval for the authenticity, trust and quality of the product? Queen Victoria appeared frequently on cloth labels and was referred to as a mother. In this particular label, she is sitting with a child surrounded by two of her Indian attendants. The Indian mill owners countered this with the use of Maharajas in their labels. Khadi may have been the preferred choice of clothing in the freedom movement, but it was not the only appealing textile. Chiffons and georgettes remained popular in the princely states, which had a slight stretch, was lustrous, smooth and sheer. They were sought after as evening wear, coupled with blouse styles adapted from European gowns and frocks. These fabrics also became a part of the Indian cinema, which depicted fashionable urban women wearing clothing made of chiffons and georgettes. Film still from the film Dahej shows the actress draped in a crepe sari, appearing sensual in its drapery. the two female leads from Mehlo Ke Khwab look modern and stylish in their costumes. These textiles also influenced the calendar art heroines of the time, which were painted by leading calendar artists like Raghuveer Mulgaonkar and J.P. Singhal.
Today, these fabrics are a part of our daily lives, but it's fascinating to look back and trace their histories. I hope you enjoyed these anecdotes from our popular culture collection.
And now on to what is perhaps the highlight of the evening, a performance by Dharavi Rocks in response to artworks from the map collection. But first, a little about this amazing group of young musicians from the Dharavi area of Mumbai who are jamming their way to a better life. In one of the most innovative projects that is environmentally friendly as well, they turn junk into music, literally. Large drums that store water, steel cans, plastic bottles, metal caps, sticks have all been transformed into musical instruments. Practicing out of a room in their locality, this group of youngsters have drummed up some wonderful rhythms, even collaborating with other musicians across the world. The Acorn Foundation, an NGO working for the welfare of slum children and waste collectors, have made it possible for Dharavi to rock. In the performance coming up now, this group responds to a series of Bollywood posters from MAP's collection of popular culture. The selection of posters highlights a scene in India that we have all become quite familiar with over the last few months in India: migration. When the country went into lockdown in March this year, thousands of migrants were left stranded without jobs, without incomes, many of them forced to trek the long way home after all the trains and buses were suspended. The film posters are a reminder of the dreams that people from small towns arrive with in the big city and how so often they crumble in the struggle for survival.
तो बम्बई में जब एक टाइम था कि कोई भी नहीं था, तो पीपल वेर कमिंग हियर लाइक जस्ट फॉर सर्चिंग सम जॉब, उनका फैमिली बढ़ाने या खुद का एक बैकग्राउंड बनाने के लिए, अच्छा एक बैकग्राउंड बनाने। तो यहाँ पे आए, जो भी मुंबई में आए सबको अच्छा पहचान मिला है। और मेरे परदादा आए तो तभी के टाइम पे रोटी, आवारा, ऐसे सब बहुत सारे मूवीज़ आए। फिर उनके बाद में मेरे डैड का जनरेशन आया, देन लाइक शाहरुख खान, अजय देवगन एंड ऑल, एंड देन मैं आया। फिर अभी के जितने भी नए एक्टर्स लोग हैं, सब ये सब है। तो एक्चुअली डेकेड्स टू डेकेड्स एवरीथिंग चेंजेस, लाइक सब कुछ चेंज होता है। अभी के टाइम में जैसे देखो कि इतना साल से कुछ नहीं हुआ, लेकिन अचानक से कोरोना आया और सब कुछ बदल दिया इसने। जैसे कि जो माइग्रेट होके यहाँ पे आए थे, वो एक्चुअली उनको मेन बड़ा प्रॉब्लम उनको ही फेस करना पड़ा। रिच इसमें कोई सफ़र नहीं किया है, इसमें सब टोटली पुअर एंड मिडिल क्लास फैमिली ने सफ़र किया है ये जो भी चीज़ है। कोरोना होते हुए भी किसी ने भी हार नहीं माना, और जितने भी कोरोना फाइटर्स हैं उनके लिए मेरा सैल्यूट, क्योंकि इतना सब कुछ होने के बाद भी आप इतने ब्रेव हो कि खुद को आपने गिव अप नहीं किया, और आप अभी तक आप भले सफ़र कर रहे हो लेकिन आप हासिल कर रहे हो।
वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। brothers.
बदलाव लाना है, बदलाव हमको लाना है, दुनिया ये गूंगा अब आवाज दिलाना है। बदलाव लाना है, बदलाव हमको लाना है, संगीत की ताकत से अब जीत कर दिखाना है। बदलाव लाना है, बदलाव हमको लाना है, दुनिया ये गूंगा अब आवाज दिलाना है। बदलाव लाना है, बदलाव हमको लाना है, संगीत की ताकत से अब जीत कर दिखाना है। जिंदगी में जीता हूँ सिर्फ अपने ही ढंग से, न घबराता मैं अपने खुद के कल से, सिर्फ डरता हूँ मैं अपने खुद के दिल से। मैं हीरो में ही विलन, बाकी सब बड़े छोटे चीजों को आजमाना चाहा, लेकिन एम क्लास हूँ मैं, कमाया और गवाया। मुश्किल में था तभी कोई नहीं आया, सिर्फ दूर से पूछता है क्या भाई खाना खाया। मेरे लाइफ कर जोड़ कर मैंने रैप के बनाया, ये है मेरी बात तूने क्या कर दिखाया। सोच सोच कर सपना ही बनाया, पार्टी शार्टी बोतवा अब स्टार्ट कर कमाना। लड़की के पीछे तू मत बन दीवाना, लड़की भी शानी तू अकेला नहीं शाना। एंड इट नाउ, सी यू टाटा बाय बाय सायोनारा। बदलाव लाना है, बदलाव हमको लाना है, दुनिया ये गूंगा अब आवाज दिलाना है। बदलाव लाना है, बदलाव हमको लाना है, संगीत के ताकत से अब जीत कर दिखाना है। बदलाव लाना है, बदलाव हमको लाना है, दुनिया ये गूंगा अब आवाज दिलाना है। बदलाव लाना है, बदलाव हमको लाना है, संगीत के ताकत से अब जीत कर दिखाना है। क्या समझदार बनो, घर के अंदर रो, मास्क पहनो जरूर, हवा में नफरत दोस्त। दूर रह के बात करो, नमस्कार करो, अंदर से नीयत साफ नहीं पर बाहर से तो साफ रहो। घर परिवार का ख्याल रखो, घर परिवार का ख्याल रखो, घर परिवार का ख्याल रखो। क्या क्या जान के अनजान मत बन, मौत है सबका डर, जीतेंगे एक दिन, शहर मेरा अनस्टॉपेबल। बम्बई था पहले, अब मुंबई मेरी जान, अमीर गरीब मिडिल क्लास से बड़ा हिंदुस्तान। लॉकडाउन ने किया परेशान हर इंसान को, बिन पैसे अटके सब, पैदल सब निकले घर, बिना गाड़ी बिना पैसा बिना राशन जीव कैसा। ऐसा सवाल करता मन, पर ये हौसला ना छोड़ेंगे हम, लड़ेंगे मरने तक बैठ के घर। तू कर सबर, चार दीवार के बीच लगता है स्वर्ग कभी नर्क, दिन बदलता फालतू गया जैसा मेरा कल। बस तू एक हेल्प कर, सोशल डिस्टेंस रख, हो अमीर या गरीब सबका एक ही कल। बस तू एक हेल्प कर, सोशल डिस्टेंस रख, हो अमीर या गरीब सबका एक ही कल। बस तू एक हेल्प कर, सोशल डिस्टेंस रख, हो अमीर या गरीब सबका एक ही कल, हो अमीर या गरीब सबका एक ही कल, हो अमीर या गरीब सबका एक ही कल। क्रेजी बी। My name is Balaji, I'm straight out from धारावी, SN का रहीवासी, मैं भी हूँ मद्रासी। अपना रैप है थोड़ा बहुत क्लासी, This is my intro, now you see। हाँ देख मेरा दोस्त मेरा रैप ठीक से सुन, मेरे अंदर भी है थोड़े बहुत गुण। मैं सोचता हूँ दिमाग से, बोलता हूँ दिल से, ना इसकी ना उसकी सुनूं क्या तेरा ठीक से। झगड़े तो होते रहते हैं सुबह शाम, सुबह थोड़ा नाश्ता रात को आराम। एरिया में भी है अपना थोड़ा बहुत नाम, रैप 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 ओनली रैप इज माय काम। जिंदगी है सबकी फुटबॉल जैसी, किक लग जाती ये लाइफ है कैसी। प्रॉब्लम को छोड़ उसकी ऐसी की तैसी, बी कूल एंड पी ए ग्लास लस्सी। सपनों को हकीकत बनाना मेरा काम है, थोड़ा सा टैलेंट और हाथ में कलम है। मेरे जिगर में दम है, तेरे में थोड़ा कम है। मद्रासी हूँ तो सबको मेरा वन कम है। सवाल है जिंदगी पर क्या है इसका जवाब, यहाँ सब राजा रानी पर जीते जैसे जानवर। मुझे कहना था कुछ और तू कर दिया स्टेरियो काम। सब नीचा दिखाते ये इंसान है कि जानवर। नमस्कार बहुत प्यार, डायरेक्ट मुंबई से सलाम। शुरुआत से ये बार्स मेरे करते खुलासा, ये हौसला ना होगा कम, cause we are rising like a sun। ऊपर ऊपर बढ़ते जाते नहीं किसी से हम कम, तूफानी कम। चल हट जा छोटे कर तू गर्दी कम, चीर फाड़ हर एक शब्द सुन के हो जाएगा जख्म। कर मुट्ठी बंद खुद की सुन, तुझे लड़ना हर एक दिन है कठिन। यहाँ जीना पाप से भरा जमीन, कर यकीन तू खुद पे देख मंजिल है अजीब। जो लोगों ने सोचा है मेरे बारे में बदीर, सब खुद में खोए रोए परेशान तू करीब। उन लोगों से जो तेरी मारने वाले हैं, जो यहाँ जी रहा एक ना एक दिन जाएगा। मरने के बाद ना तेरा घमंड काम आएगा, हुकूमत उनका और तू कब तक सुनते जाएगा। कटेगा भ्रष्टाचार जब तू आवाज उठाएगा। सवाल है जिंदगी पर क्या है इसका जवाब, यहाँ सब राजा रानी पर जीते जैसे जानवर।
That was simply exhilarating to listen to. But now it's time to move on to other connections that MAP has initiated. Linking connections around the world, Museums Without Borders is a unique digital collaboration between MAP and institutions in India and abroad. Each episode in this series juxtaposes an artwork from MAP with an object from a partner museum, exploring commonalities and differences in style, subject, or narrative. In a time of restricted mobility, this initiative helps to build bridges between people, collections, and institutions. This video traces the journey and making of two popular prints from 19th century Kolkata, a Batala woodcut print from MAP's collection, and a chromolithograph from the Oriental Art Studio housed in the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. Despite variances in style and technique, both prints feature the similar iconography of Krishna and Radha, the divine lovers that have captured the imagination of artists and writers for centuries.
There are some moments in history, just the right time and the right place, when incredible things happen. Instances when ingenuity, integrity, and invention come together to create definitive moments that leave their legacies on time. The printmaking history of 19th century Bengal is one such story. A time of rapid invention and continuous change, when new techniques, new machines, and new artistic methods were being invented like never before, each leading the way for the next one. Today, we pause two such moments and look at two works that the periods produced. They share the same provenance, the same image source, and perhaps a similar patron group. One was printed at a little-known press called the Oriental Art Studio in Kolkata, now stored in the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, and the other by the equally unheard-of printers from under the banyan tree, now in the collection of MAP Bangalore.
This print by the Oriental Art Studio shows Radha and Krishna standing on a lotus. Their bodies are intertwined. Notice how both of them have their hands on the flute. They're accompanied by two attendants standing on either side, holding fly whisks.
In early 19th century Kolkata, a group of ingenious local men set up a bookmaking and printing industry. Today, it is simply known as the Bottola. Bottola in Bengali means under the banyan, and the industry was named after a now lost banyan tree under which the first generation of printers are believed to have set shop. In this image, we see the adaptation of a timeless icon, one that has been used and reused in traditions across the country, the image of Radha and Krishna. The artist here has gone a step further to also add Krishna's brother Balaram and his consort Revati.
This is imagery that has a very long history in Indian art. We can find it in many, many works of Indian painting, in pitchwise and in other settings. And some of the elements we see very specifically reusing earlier techniques from Indian painting, for example, so that the representation of the pearls worn by Radha and Krishna are made with tiny dots of white paint, and that's something that you see almost exactly the same being done by Rajput painters.
This particular work is a relief print from a metal plate. A copper plate would have been engraved and mounted on a wood block to be ready for printing. Traces of screws used to mount the metal plate to a wood support are visible at the corners of the print. On the side, the artist has very charmingly attempted to integrate the screw mark in the composition by putting it in the center of a flower.
Another innovative element is the use of lithography. In the 19th and early 20th century, India was at the center of a great expansion in lithographic printing. This print was made by a small press called Oriental Art Studio, and to my knowledge, no other print by this studio has been recorded. From its style, we can connect it to a group of early, small Calcutta presses that were active in the 1880s. At that time, Calcutta had a thriving lithography industry, and the artists and printmakers there were rapidly innovating, not only in terms of imagery and style, but also technique. Very rapidly, they moved from one-color lithographs to using a mix of color printing and hand coloring, and then on to color lithographs printed from multiple stones, and finally to photomechanical printing, also called photo offset printing.
Exposed to the new European prints entering the port of Kolkata, the Bottola artist began to include Western components into his art. Scalloped curtains and Corinthian pillars often framed many interiors, while Palladian mansions are peopled by Hindu gods and goddesses. The European influence in this image is visible in the addition of the Corinthian arches and the hint of a pediment that tops the composition. One can also notice half-human, half-snake-like cherubic figures with wings, although here they seem to be Indianized with bindis and short choli-like blouses.
We can also find some elements in the print that are strikingly new. Artistic techniques and values in India have been changing rapidly in the late 19th century, and one innovation in art was the selective adoption of Western techniques of naturalistic representation. When applied to images of Hindu gods, the gods came to seem more real, human, and immediate than ever before. The depiction of the colors and the folds of clothing, the color of the women's skin, and the fine detail in the leaves of the tree all come together to make this print seem almost like a portrait of a real loving couple.
The Bottola material was extremely popular among the lower middle class and semi-educated population of Kolkata. Increase in demand necessitated quicker production and in ever-growing numbers. A close examination of this Radha Krishna print shows such an instance where the artist had to work very, very fast. The print was made using a metal plate and quickly colored using cotton swabs.
This print was created in 3 stages. First, it was printed in black. Second, color was added using a printing technique known today as a rainbow roll. That is how they created the sky with its rainbow colors that fade into each other. Finally, the rest of the color was added by hand. So, if we want to locate this print on the path from simple lithography to color printing, we can think of this one as sort of poised at the transition between hand-colored printing, like the print in the map collection, and full color printing.
The Bortala print, however, was hand-colored at one go, perhaps using temporary brushes made of cotton rolled on top of sticks. This is noticeable in the colors spilling out of the outlines and merging with each other. This artwork and others like it also lead us into understanding who the consumers of the Bortala prints were. Those who could not afford expensive paintings or even colored prints of deities for their home shrines, and yet wished for an image that looked something like an expensive painting or a colorful print.
I hope you have enjoyed this journey into a print in the collection of the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston.
These 2 artworks may have been produced at 2 distinct moments in the printmaking history of India, but together they help us understand the socio-cultural context and popular opinions that shaped the visual aesthetics of 19th century Kolkata.
And now, a final word from our patrons whose support and guidance have been integral to MAP's journey.
Thank you for this opportunity. You know, we live in a world that is predominantly urban and getting more so by the day. As hubs of innovation, education, art and culture, cities have played an important role in human progress. In my travels around the world, I have observed that great cities have certain common characteristics, one of which is that they host outstanding museums of art and culture, which act as beacons of inspiration and hope, not only for the artists, but also for the citizens alike. When I thus first came to know that Abhishek was planning to set up a museum of art and photography in Bangalore, I was very excited. While Bangalore is popular as India's Silicon Valley, it is also a city with many remarkable institutions and with a thriving, multicultural ethos. What it really needs is a world-class center for art, and I am thrilled that MAP is going to fill that gap, and not a moment too soon. Bangalore is also our city, the place where Wipro's IT business started, grew, and provided the foundation for our global expansion. It is therefore but natural for us to engage deeply with the city's issues, whether they be environmental or social. We already have several long-running initiatives in education, ecology, and primary health. Our decision to support MAP was therefore a logical extension of our guiding principle of engaging with critical issues such that they contribute to a more just, humane, inclusive, and sustainable society. Art is often seen as exclusive and elitist, but I think MAP's vision seeks to reverse and correct and break this perception. In its truest sense, museums, libraries, theatres, art galleries, etc. act as vital public spaces that foster a vibrant and inclusive democratic spirit. From my conversations with Abhishek, I know that MAP is aligned with this ethos in thought and in action. The museum is going to be an outstanding repository for some of the best art and photography from India and across the world, combining both physical and digital infrastructure in a seamless manner. It is also going to be one of the very few centers in the country for art conservation. But I believe what will really differentiate MAP is its education and outreach programs. Wipro is planning to work closely with MAP on this aspect with a specific focus on inclusion of children from disadvantaged communities. For example, we hope to be able to jointly organize curated visits for children from government schools in the city of Bangalore. By consciously leveraging art and photography as a medium to bring about larger social awareness, we think MAP will be playing an important role in the future evolution of Bangalore as a city that is not only economically vibrant but ecologically sensitive and socially inclusive. I'm aware that COVID has come in the way of the original schedule, but I'm amazed at the resilience of spirit shown by the MAP team during these challenging times. They have continued to work with optimism and dedication and are making steady progress towards the launch in a manner that does justice to MAP's vision of being a world-class institution without compromising on safety norms and protocols. I wish Abhishek and the team the very best and look forward to a long and fruitful partnership with the Museum of Art and Photography. Thank you again, and I wish you all the very best.